So we have about an hour together where we're really going to dive into how to bring out the best in your man so you can have incredible lovemaking. And I'm going to be sharing some tools that are really practical so that you can literally take with you and use tonight or use tomorrow or use next month. That will already shift the way that you relate to your partner, you will relate to yourself, yet you will relate to lovemaking. And in the end, I'm also going to give an offer. If this is something that you really want to dive deeper into, then I'm having a special offer for you ladies as well. So know that if this is something that really sparks your curiosity, then stay till the end and you'll be invited to dive much deeper into it. So I see a lot of you are writing down. Some of you are married, in a relationship, ready to be dating again. Beautiful. And I see your beautiful intentions in a new relationship. Yes, wherever you are, whether you're getting ready to be dating, whether you are in a long-term relationship, whether you are in a new relationship, what I'm going to share for you today is going to apply wherever you're at. If you're in a new relationship, you can apply this from the start. If you're in a longer relationship, you can shift certain things and maybe your man is going to be very happily surprised. And if you're getting ready to date, then it's just a beautiful tool for you to use in the future. So I'm seeing a few familiar faces. I've already for the last years facilitated a lot in this platform, in the different symposium, in the live events. And I'm seeing some new faces, so I'll still introduce myself very shortly. So my name is Arja. I've been diving into Tantra for the last decade, super passionate about both traditional Tantra as well as modern Tantra. And I really started from the perspective of yoga and meditation. And I've actually been initiated by women while I was living in a small community in Ecuador to really connect with my body, connect with myself as a woman. I remember when I came to this community, there was this woman that just gave orgasmic birth. And I'm like, is that a thing? Like, I didn't even know that was possible. I'm like, orgasmic birth? I'm like, birth and orgasmic, that does not come in one sentence for me. So these women immediately shifted my mindset of the power that we have in our bodies. And the woman really initiated me, and she's like, Arja, we have such a power between our legs, but we've been so suppressed to use that. We've been so shamed for it. We've been told, if we use that power, then we're not respecting ourselves or our bodies. So it are really women that showed me to reconnect first with my own body, and only about a year later I really went into the sexual aspect of that, because I really believe it's important to stabilize the connection that we have with ourselves first through yoga and through meditation and through nature and through different feminine arts. And only a year after that, I discovered the whole world of sexual Tantra, and then my mind flew open again. And now, years later, that has transformed not just my lovemaking, but really who I am as a woman, that I'm super excited to share with you here. So sometimes you see me looking right at you. Other times I'm also looking at my notes because I want to make sure that I don't forget anything. So one of the things that I'd love to start with, and if you want, you can take pen and paper, is for you to write down what is incredible lovemaking for you. What does that mean for you? Incredible lovemaking. Invite you to take pen and paper, write it down. And I would also love to see some answers in the chat box. So there's no right, there's no wrong. This is really, and this is, I already believe, one of the mistakes that a lot of women make, is that we think that there's one way of how we should be sexual. And it's like, oh, but if I'm not experiencing everything that woman experiences, then like something is wrong with me. Like maybe for one woman, incredible lovemaking is just to go really slow and to be a missionary for a long time and to be more quiet. Like maybe that is incredible lovemaking. While for another woman, it's like being pounded really hard and being loud and the whole neighbors can hear it. And maybe that's incredible lovemaking for her. So there's no right or wrong. It's really the first step when it comes to wanting to have incredible lovemaking is knowing what is incredible lovemaking for me. So I invite you to write that down, and if you want to share that in the chat box as well. So I'll give you a moment to do that. Beautiful, deep connection, trust, infinite joy. I also invite you to get very detailed, like incredible lovemaking. Like, what does it even look like? You know, you can even think about it in very visual ways. It's like, oh, like, how does it feel? How does it look like? How long is that? For some people, incredible lovemaking can be 5 minutes. For other ones, it can be 5 hours. And I see some of you are unmuted again. So if you can make sure that your microphone is muted, that'd be amazing. Beautiful, deep connection with my partner. And then I also invite you, if you write down like deep connection, trust, like what does it look like for you? Because what often happens, feel free to keep writing as this comes in, is that we have an idea of what incredible lovemaking is, but our partner might have a completely different idea of what incredible lovemaking is. And we come to the bedroom with all these expectations of how we want it to be. And a lot of times we put that expectation on our partner, which is already the main mistake on how we don't bring out the best in our man. We actually bring out the worst. Because when we come with all this set of expectations and then our partner isn't meeting that, then we set ourselves up for disappointment instead of setting ourselves up and our partner up for success, which is what I'm going to speak more about in the lovemaking. So this exercise, I actually invite you to take that to your partner, ask them to write down as well, hey, what's incredible lovemaking for you, and talk about it. Right? Because maybe your partner thinks incredible lovemaking is very different than what you think. And then you come in the bedroom and one tries to dance salsa because they really love it. And the other one is dancing tango. And one thinks that tango is incredible. And the other one is thinking salsa is incredible. And they're both incredible. But if you try to match that together, it doesn't dance well. Right? So it's not about like the one is better than the other, but it's then around like creating a fusion between those dances, or one learns to dance salsa and the other one learns to dance tango, and you discover new layers of your lovemaking. So this is an exercise I invite you to take home. Beautiful sharings that I already see, being very connected and flow, full body touching, caressing, great, couple of hours. I love the details. Like the more details you can write down, especially when you do this with your partner. Or, you know, some of you said, I'm going to start dating. Use this as one of the date questions. You know, it's like, hey, what is actually incredible lovemaking for you? And talk about that before you even go into the bedroom. And that's such a beautiful way how you're already setting yourself up for success and also bringing the best out in your partner. Because when you express what you really want and what you really like, it's like your partner can take that into account and can show up in that way. So I'd love to hear if that makes sense. So one of the things that I want to mention around the way that I'm teaching is the way that the teachings that I'm transmitting today, as well as in my trainings, they work best for women that really love doing their personal work, which I think if you're here inside of this community, you are one of those. It's like you take responsibility, you want to do your inner work. Because if we try to put the finger to our partner and be like, oh, but you're going too fast, or you're going too rough, or you're not doing this right and this right and this right, and having all these judgments about how our partner shows up, we lose our power as women. The only thing, the way that I teach is really to empower you, to empower yourself. I remember recently in one of my masterclasses that I did, you know, the woman said like, oh yeah, my partner is, you know, despite all his efforts, he really, like, he just can't satisfy me. And then it's like, hey, it's not about his effort. It's actually about your effort and your responsibility. Because if we're just going to lay down and receive and expect our partner to just give it to us, and if for him to do the effort, then we're not going to meet, and we're definitely not going to have incredible lovemaking. So the way that I teach is really to empower you, for you to take responsibility and to stop really pointing fingers to the man and what the man are doing wrong and they're not showing up, but to really be like, hey, how can I show up with more softness in the bedroom? How can I show up with a more open heart? How can I be more receptive in the bedroom? And also, how can I be more compassionate to my partner in the bedroom? And that's the first key that I'm teaching to really bring out the best in your man, is to come with compassion. Because one of the main things that a lot of women don't realize is the amount of pressure that men have when it comes to lovemaking. And I know that some men actually are in the room. And for some men, this is a bigger extent. For others, it's a smaller extent. But from the moment that we've grown up, almost every single man watches or has watched porn in some degree. And porn gives a very one-sided view of what sexuality looks like or what it can be like. It's very limited. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong, because when we move into tantric lovemaking, it's not about judging, hey, this sex is wrong and that sex is right, because that still shows a very unharmonious relationship with sexuality, right? Then it's like bringing out a new judgment. No, this is wrong and that's right. But it's actually about embracing all forms of sexuality. But what we have seen and learned growing up is very limited. And in porn, what do we see is that the man usually have big cocks. There's a lot of pressure on the man to be hard, to be ready, to satisfy the women, to last long enough. And there's so much pressure on the man in the bedroom to perform that women often don't realize. And we are usually putting so much more pressure up on them by our own expectations, by wanting them to give us pleasure and wanting them to fulfill us, or by the way that we are dissatisfied, or maybe by us worrying and taking things personally, what happened in the bedroom. So the number one thing is that I invite you to bring out the best in your partners, to really come with this compassion and understanding that, hey, there's so much pressure already on my partner. They've learned sex in a certain way that they probably have built their confidence in. And then imagine that you're coming, it's like, hey, you know, I'm part of Live Tantra. And there's this exercise, is this video here. I really want to do that together. And then you might notice resistance to your partner. I'd love to hear if some of you notice that. It's like you propose to do a certain exercise that you've learned on this platform, and then your partner is not really up for it. And he's like, not that excited as you are. And then that might create disappointment, because it's like you want to, you know, work on your sexuality, you want to make the sex better, but how that can come across to your partner is that he's not being good enough. And it can come across that you're putting even more pressure on him because he feels comfortable in sex in a certain way. He's built confidence there. He's used to the certain routine that's there, and it works for him with all the pressure he has received since teenage period. And then you come and it's like, no, I want to do stuff different, right? Oh, this is exciting and I want to do things different and things don't work for me, which comes to him across as like, hey, I'm not good enough, right? Or it's a threat. It can be intimidating. Or one of the men that I recently been coaching, he actually told me it's not so much intimidating, but it just triggers my performance anxiety because I need to do something different that I don't know about. And a lot of women don't realize that. Because for men, the arousal and the act, it's very visible. And a lot of men have this conditioning that I can only have sex when we're hard. Which obviously, when we dive into Tantra and Tantric sexuality, we can make love with all the different stages of arousal of the lingam, but there's still a lot of conditioning for the man to be ready or to be prepped in a certain way. So one of the main things that you can start with is to, if you're a woman that can realize that when you're in the bedroom and you're so relaxed on what happens and you're so receptive also to what he feels, then that brings a relaxation inside of him that will make him confident, that will make him relaxed, that will make him want to try new things with you, because it doesn't come from this place of, hey, I need to perform, or now I need to show something that I'm good enough, or that I can do something differently. So I'd love to hear if that makes sense. Also, it brings a deeper relaxation for us as a woman, because I feel so many of us have this idea, okay, there's tantric sex, and there's all these different videos and teachings, even here inside of the platform, and like how we can do that and what that can look like. But ultimately, in the essence, it's actually coming back completely to our natural state. When we can be so comfortable with our own bodies, with our own sexuality, with our own expression, that we don't even need to use the tools, the practices, the techniques anymore, because everything just comes from this, what I call feminine flow, then the two partners meet. But from this place of complete naturalness. So when we are in a place where we feel so confident in our own skin, in our own body, in our nakedness, even in our expressions, and we bring that attitude in the bedroom, then the man will follow, because the woman, from the tantric perspective, is actually seen as the initiatress. She can initiate, not leading in the bedroom, because then it's a woman initiated from a masculine perspective, but a woman can initiate a certain state in the bedroom. From the tantric perspective, the women are really the one that are closest connection with devotion, with the energy. As women, we can really learn how to evoke a certain energy in the room, how to evoke a certain atmosphere. We can really do that by our own inner attitude. The woman can be the one that brings prayer into the bedroom. The woman can be the one that brings compassion into the bedroom. The woman can be the one that really opens her heart and then is receptive for the man to receive. But when we come with this attitude and we bring that in the bedroom and we initiate from that place, as in like, hey, my entire being creates the atmosphere and sets the stage, then the man will respond to that. And that's the beauty about polarity when it comes to tantric lovemaking. So when we can come with this level of confidence, and I know that that requires a process of deconditioning, because even if we mentally know, like, okay, you know, sex isn't shameful, and I know it's not my fault that I have limiting beliefs about my body or that insecurities come up, every single woman that really wants to become completely confident and empowered in her sexuality, as well as every single man, needs to go through a process of deconditioning, of really rewriting the sexual story that we have heard for years, where sex hasn't been proposed to us as something that's healthy, as something that's harmonious, as something that's an art. Yesterday, I was watching a super incredible movie where about India, or thousands and thousands years back, where the courtesans were very highly revered, where the courtesans were really seen as like, wow, these women can transmit something through their dance and through their body and even through their lovemaking, right? Where that was not seen as like, oh, you're a slut or you're a whore. It's like, no, you're a courtesan, you're a devadasi, you're the bringer of pleasure from God. And that view is not here for thousands of years anymore, right? Lovemaking was really thought. It was this beautiful process of like the Kama Sutras being thought as the teachings of love. And how can I transmit love in my lovemaking? And often now it's like, okay, how can I, work on my sexual energy and kind of get off, right? That's what in what we see usually in Western society, like sex has really transformed into acting upon our desires rather than really connecting with the essence. Even if it's a one-night stand, can we still give as much love and receive as much love just for that single moment? So the way that we show up as a woman really has such a big impact on how her man is going to respond to that. So love to hear if that makes sense. I see totally agreeing. I need to ask my friend the name of the movie because she put it on. I don't know the name of the movie, but it's something about Kama Sutra. It's about the princess queen. Yeah, I can ask it, and then we can post it in Live Tantra, because she put it on and I don't know the name. So this is actually another tip, super beautiful to watch that, because when it comes to Tantra, we really work with archetypes, right? In my work, I really work with the archetype of the sexual initiatrix. It's an energy that we already have inside of us. And it's like, can I remove all the veils that I received from conditioning and awaken an archetype that every single woman can learn, right? There's so many different ways that we can show up in the bedroom. And also, if we want to bring out the best in our partner, can we see like which archetype actually matches the one for my partner? Because the woman can be fluid and can adapt. I can have this beautiful receptive energy where it's like, okay, my partner is in a certain mood. Can I meet that? Or can I, from within, can I shift the energy of our lovemaking, but not from a place of like masculine, oh, and I want to have things different and don't want to go so hard and so fast, but it's like really coming with that place of softness. Yeah, beautiful. So a lot of us women are conditioned in the bedroom that we need to look like porn stars. Just as men are conditioned that sex needs to look into a certain way, that's very limited, right? What we've seen on adult websites is a very limited part of porn. And of course, now you have, nowadays, you can also watch a lot of couples that are not actors, and you can watch them, but still you can see how they actually just copy what porn stars are doing. You don't really see a different expression of sexuality than what is considered normal, right? So a lot of us have this idea that, okay, sex needs to look in that linear way. It's like first this, then that, and then it's like this 3-step. It's like kiss, foreplay, sex, and then usually after ejaculation it's over. And a lot of you probably are already shifting to that approach, because you know it's like that part is not really satisfying anymore. Actually, I love when the lovemaking is fluid and maybe it's stretched out over more hours and there is diversity. But what's important for us women is that we actually move away from trying to copy how porn stars look like, or trying to copy how other women look like in the bedroom, but really connect back to that naturalness. And this is one of the things that I focus on inside my training, initiators training. It's like, can I come back to that complete level of comfort within myself? And I always tell my students, I do not look sexy in bed. I don't look sexy. I make weird faces. I make weird noises. It's like, sometimes I videotape myself and I look back and I'm like, wow, that's really not, I don't make sexy facial expressions, but I don't care. Because the new sexy, what I believe, is your real authentic connection. And that's not trying to look pretty or trying to curve your body in a certain way so the angle looks nice, or having the porn star moan that's happening, but actually allowing your real and raw expression to come out. And that, to me, a woman that can express herself so freely without worrying to get judged, that I believe it is the, then she can really come to the depth of her pleasure. And when she can feel so comfortable in her own expression, you give permission to the man to do the same. And this is the second key that I've seen coaching men, teaching men, being with men, supporting other women to be with men, is if you can make them feel so comfortable in the bedroom by being yourself and being completely comfortable yourself, the entire dynamic in the bedroom is shifting. Because if you're okay looking in all kind of ways, if you're okay with your expression, then you give them permission to be okay with their expression as well. So I'd love to hear if that makes sense. I'm just taking a moment to check my notes if I'm not skipping certain parts. So one of the things that I want to repeat, of the first two things that we spoke about, is that realizing the amount of pressure there already is on men, the amount of pressure that we probably put on our partners, and the conditioning that men come in the bedroom with. I often notice that so many women are so focused on themselves and their own worries, and I'm taking too long, or my yoni looks in this way, or my dress is like this, or my belly, like we're so wrapped up in our own head. One of the main things that I always teach women inside of my training, it's like a ritual to move away from this like masculine working and doing and structure into like, hey, how can I drop into my feminine? Because if we come with our head full into the bedroom, then we're already one that are initiating actually not being fully present. So we can bring that state, like as the woman, we can bring a certain state in the bedroom of relaxation, of acceptance, of compassion, also of like this mysterious energy. Right, in this movie that I just spoke about, this woman, this courtesan princess, really, she has this very mysterious energy over her. And it's like she doesn't even need to reveal a lot of flesh, because that energy comes from inside, and that awakens something inside of her man that makes her so irresistible. And again, it's that archetype of this like sexual initiatrix that we can step into. It's like, how can I awaken that energy inside of me? And that has an effect on the partner. And then really coming with this aspect of compassion. So realizing that when you're coming with these ideas of like, oh, I want to do an exercise, or want to do this, or want sex to be different, realizing that for him, that actually feels like, oh, that's triggering all of my performance anxiety. So I'm inviting you to realize, where are you doing this with your previous partner or your current partner, or, you know, if you're ready to start dating again, like realize, where am I putting actually pressure on my partner, or expecting him to show up in ways that I don't even show up for myself, right? And here I really invite you to bring the best in him, also really see the best in your partner. So many times in my training, women come and they already have this view of their man, of everything that they're doing wrong, and they set them up for failure instead of setting them up for success. They come with expectations, don't express themselves, stay silent, and then are disappointed that the expectations are not being met. One of the biggest qualities for men to feel and to open up, whether that's in the relationship or in the bedroom, is to feel trust from the feminine. And if we can hold the vision for the man, that we see the best in him, even if he fucked up, even if he made a mistake, even if again he went way too fast to your genitals and touched there before you were ready, hold that vision, trust in him that he also wants to have incredible lovemaking with you, and keep seeing the best in your partner. Because one of the mistakes that I see women make is they are so excited about sex and changing sex, because for years, let's face it, most of us haven't really enjoyed sexuality. Or maybe we have enjoyed it in a very limited way. And now we discover, oh my God, as a woman, I can experience so much sex and pleasure. And I want to reclaim myself and I want to celebrate that. But men, you know, I'm like, oh my God, all these women are waking up and they want something else in the bedroom. And it's like, oh, wow. And no one ever taught me, right? So if we can see the best in our partner and hold that vision, especially if you believe in the laws of the universe, if you believe in a more subtle aspect of the universe, if you really believe in that energy of vibration, it's like, if I hold the vision that I'm seeing the best in my partner, no matter what, then you also bring out the best in him. Like inspire him instead of instructing him. Right? Like in bed, maybe we can be like, if he goes too deep while we're penetrating, it's like, ow, right? And it's like, that's kind of killing the mood, right? And of course, that can be like a reaction that comes, but we can also train ourselves to really be in tune and feel. And when like an irritated reaction comes up during lovemaking, usually that's already a lot of kind of resentment is already built, and there's some frustration that's there. But can we actually inspire him and not instructing him, yeah, don't go so deep, don't go so fast, don't do this, don't do that, because that's killing the mood instead of actually juicing it up and making it more spicy. So how can we inspire our partner? And we can do that with body language, we can do that with verbal communication, with non-verbal communication. There's so many ways that as a woman we can initiate the space exactly the way we want to with my partner, exactly the way we want, but in very subtle ways, where we don't put all the pressure on the man and be like, okay, I want incredible lovemaking, but that's your responsibility. Right? I'm laying here and I just want to receive. It's like, oh, it becomes this dance together where the man is usually leading in bed, but when it comes to tantric lovemaking, he's actually responding to very subtle impulses from the woman. And that woman is so in tune with her own body, being able to influence the energy in the bedroom, being able to give subtle hints into the lovemaking, being able to elevate the space. If you feel that your partner comes too often with like a raw sexual energy that you don't really like, how can you as a woman elevate that? And I know that this is a little bit more advanced practices that I'm talking about, but I want to let you know that that's possible. And the way that you can start is by really inspiring him, by seeing the best in him, by not instructing him. And we can learn ways to communicate that inspires him, right? Like learn our ways to show up that are motivating and that make him like, oh my God, of course I want to do this, right? So I'd love to hear, I'll take a moment to look in the chat box, and I'd love to hear if this has resonated. Beautiful, see that some of you are resonating with the irritation, resentment that is here. Beautiful. So many of the temples had priestesses that practice the magic of sex. Yeah, and then I see that you're writing the good old days, and I really see and experience and practice that all of the teachings are being rediscovered in our current time and age, because so many of us are starting to practice sex magic again. If there's one thing that I'm super passionate about, it's lovemaking rituals. Like lovemaking rituals that really bring forth the essence of sexuality, where actually we really bring in sex and spirit together, not just with, oh, we do a prayer and a consecration in the start, but it's like there's the depth of tantric lovemaking, like the entire lovemaking becomes this prayer that we have. It's like that energy of wow, what we're doing is sacred, can really move through the entire lovemaking. So I really believe that right now all of these teachings are being reinvented, revealed in slightly different ways. And it's our responsibility to keep that alive, or to bring that back alive, because why would that be in the past? We have all the temples with the carvings that literally show like, hey, this is how it was in ancient times. Why not re-invoke that? We can be the priestesses of the future, right? Like that maybe in years from now, it's like, yeah, and in 2022, like the new priestesses were waking up and all of this got back to life again. Like it's our responsibility to take that. And this is why I'm so passionate, and this is really why I've dedicated my work to this exactly. Yeah. So while I'm speaking about this, what I invite you to do is what resonates, take that, write that down. What doesn't resonate, leave it. So maybe some of the things you're like, yes, I can come with more compassion in the bedroom. Yes, actually in lovemaking, I'm talking about being able to change your inner state. You can do that by focusing on your heart during lovemaking, focusing on how much love can I give to my partner. And even doing that can bring a state change in the lovemaking, right? And that's a beautiful way to start practicing. Like, hey, if I focus on my heart, if I really focus on I'm sending love to my partner, watch how your partner responds. And maybe your partner is not sensitive at all. And then again, we're not going to blame them, because that's again one of the mistakes that a lot of women make, is like they tell their partner once, or they express something they desire once, and then the partner doesn't meet that, and the partner doesn't follow up, and next time they're in the bedroom and again he's doing that thing that she doesn't really like, and then there's the resentment again, or there's the frustration. So one of the things where compassion gets like an extra extension is like, don't expect your partner to shift immediately, because that for you it is so logical that you desire certain things doesn't mean that he's going to remember it after one time you told him. Even after 2, 3, 4, 5 times you told him, as soon as we go in the bedroom, all our old patterns, all our old conditioning gets reactivated and triggered, especially for men, because they're the penetrating force. They're the active force. So even the act of penetration itself triggers so much on a conscious and subconscious level for the man, that like everything that you shared before just goes out of the window. Like something else takes over. Also, this energy of arousal comes and something else takes over. And if the man hasn't learned how to sublimate his energy, so this horny, sexual, very beautiful energy, but this horny, dense sexual energy transforms into like more refined expressions of sexual energy, then whatever you told him just goes out of the window. And then again, we can come with this compassion that we have towards our partner. So a lot of it is actually realizing like, hey, what is my attitude that I bring in the bedroom? How comfortable do I feel with myself? And I believe that this is one of the biggest parts when it comes to, you know, feeling more sexual, more free, more empowered in our bodies. Is the first thing that I work on with women inside of my training, is getting as comfortable as we can with sex, with sexuality, with our bodies, and really rewriting the beliefs that we have, because so much beliefs that we have are still based upon shame, still based upon worry to get judged, worry to look weird, worried for things to be awkward, worried to look ugly, worried to not be sexy. So many judgments that we have upon ourselves, upon lovemaking, upon sex itself, upon other women, on how it should look like. So really the first piece of work to do is going through that deconditioning process, so we can be so comfortable in that. And from that place, the man is going to be like, wow, like I want to be like you, right? It's like you don't be the teacher in the bedroom anymore, because it's like you inspire, you don't instruct. So that's the key, that you come back to such a place of naturalness that the man automatically follows, because you initiate from a beautiful feminine way. So one of the ways that we can really set up our partner for success instead of for failure, and then like judging and looking, what are they doing wrong? It's like being as expressive as we can, like say what we want, whether that's with words, with putting his hands in certain locations, but say exactly what we want. Like what I love is also the act of dirty talk, but not in the porn star way, but in this way that is really actually connecting and exciting and juicy and fun. And it can be such a magical tool to actually make it really clear what we want without it feeling awkward. Right? So the more that we express and we make it clear what makes us happy, what pleases us, what do we like, the more a partner can meet us, and we set them up for success instead of setting them up for failure. Right? And then we can really practice on, hey, the more I am present in the bedroom, the more my partner is going to be present as well, because especially in Tantra, there's this power of transmission. The woman naturally has the energy to initiate the atmosphere. Like take this outside of the bedroom in the relationship. It's like when the woman is pissed, or the woman is moody, or the woman is irritated, it's like it brings out this radiance, it affects other people, right? So imagine if we are connected with our heart, if we are in love, if we are compassionate, like we bring a certain energy in the room, because the woman can admit this in such a beautiful and powerful way. And if we don't have that yet, we don't feel that yet, we don't feel so confident in our sexuality yet, it's not our fault, because for years, society has told us to actually feel ashamed about our sexuality as women, to suppress it. Sexually empowered women were not respected and admired like in some of the communities that we have right now. Oh, I see someone unmuted. Yeah. Okay, good. We're back. So it's not our fault if we're not there yet, and if we don't feel that way yet, because all of that is an art that we can learn. And some of the things that I speak about here maybe sound very inspirational for you, and it's really possible for every single woman to learn certain archetypes. And this is what I love basing the way that I teach sexuality to women on Tantra and on archetypes, because it gives us such a practical framework and methodology to work with, to really build confidence in ourselves, to really build a power that we already have inside of ourselves but has been so suppressed, and step into that, like, yeah, I want to be empowered, I want to be awakened, I want to have that confidence, but there's a process, a training, a rite of passage, as I like to call it, for us to actually get there. But it's not our fault if we don't feel like that in certain ways. But what it starts with is having that aspiration and knowing that it's possible. And it's like, wow, if I show up differently in the bedroom, then my man is going to respond to that, because that's the play of polarity that we have. And I think that's so empowering, because I feel as women, in so many of the trainings that I've been giving to women, it's like there's so much often subconscious responsibility that's been put on the man. And I feel it's so empowering that I actually know, like, wow, when I work on myself, when I show up and I bring in that naturalness, I bring in this certain energy, the man is going to respond to that. And I've seen even a lot of women that already feel empowered in their sexuality, but then complain that there's no tantric man or no conscious man to meet them, because they don't come with compassion, because they don't come with this understanding how much pressure there already is on man. They don't realize that actually the way that we show up in the bedroom has such an impact on how the man is going to respond as well, right? So this is the responsibilities that we can take, knowing that it's not our fault if we don't feel that way, but every woman can really step into that archetype. So a few of the points that I would love for you to reflect on, and I'd love to hear a moment in the chat box what it is that you want to practice, that you want to try in a bedroom when it comes to bringing compassion, releasing the pressure. I'd love to hear from you ladies, what do you feel is one way that you can release the pressure from your partner in the bedroom? I'm going to give one example, and as I speak about this, I'd love for you to put in the chat box, what do you feel is one way that you can really release the pressure from your partner in the bedroom? So put that in the chat box, and for those of you on the replay, you can write it down for your own reflection. And I'm going to give you one example of this. Often when we're in bed, the woman takes it really personal if the man doesn't get hard or if he loses his erection. And we think there's something wrong with us. Like, oh, but we're not sexy. He's not attractive to me. Did I do something wrong? Oh, what I'm doing is not pleasurable. I'm not good enough. I'm not a good lover. This probably feels really awkward. And we take it so personal. Well, for the man, having an erection or not has to do with his level of comfort. Sometimes men say like, oh yeah, but my cock really has a life of its own. When the man, and I've seen this proven and proven and proven over time, when the man gets so comfortable in his sexuality and almost completely removes the performance anxiety that's there, obviously or not obviously, the cock doesn't have a life of its own anymore. The cock is hard, the cock is there, and it doesn't, like so many men that I've been training is like, literally messaging me, help, I'm hard all the time right now. Like my sexual energy is so flowing. I don't know what to do, because there's such a naturalness and a confidence that came. Doesn't even mean that he needs to be hard, but it's actually the pressure. It's like, you don't need to, because as a woman, we can do so much and enjoy so much with all the different levels of arousal. But if the woman gets so comfortable that she actually doesn't care, you're hard, you're soft, you're somewhere in the middle, I enjoy so much with you regardless, we take such a pressure of them, right? So that's one of the ways how we can actually remove the pressure from our partner. And I remember the first time that I learned this, that I was like, okay, so when he's hard or not hard has nothing to do with me. So when he's soft, it probably means like his nervous system is not fully relaxed, you know, because we're in the situation. He's probably stressed, has nothing to do with me. It doesn't mean I'm not attractive. It doesn't mean that I'm not good enough. His erection has nothing to do with me. So I knew that, but then I was still in the bathroom and I was like, okay, so I should be normal. He's soft. Like, I should not make that a big deal. Like, and I still felt kind of nervous about it because I didn't want to make it a thing. And then by not making a thing, I noticed that I was still making it a thing inside of me. So there was actually really building that confidence to be completely natural with this and to welcome that. And usually when that happens, there this challenge of like, oh, I'm hard, I'm soft, is not even there anymore. And then from that place, actually the man can also move into lovemaking with a soft lingam, which is beautiful. Penetration can happen with a soft lingam, especially if all the worries around it, oh, but I'm being soft and there's anxiety, and like when that's gone, then actually the man can deeply enjoy soft penetration as well as the woman. So that's one example on how we can take off the pressure on our man. So I'm curious to see the answer is not having expectations, just letting things flow, arriving without great expectations, open to the floor, drop your ego at the door. I love that one. I guess trust is needed. Yeah, especially after bad experiences. Joyful time. Yeah, one of the tips that I'd love to give you, and this is for both the man and the women in the room, is to bring more playfulness into the bedroom, to make it less serious. I feel that so many of us come with such an idea and a pressure and a vulnerability in the bedroom that it needs to look in a certain way or be in a certain way. And if something is off or something doesn't feel good, there can be this judgment that we immediately put on ourselves or on our partner. But if we can bring this openness and playfulness and just make it less serious, it's like this spontaneity happens and this relaxation comes in, right? It's like, oh, can we play? Can we even just go to our like inner child and let those two people come out and let those two make love without having all these projections of what that should be and look like? And the moment that we can be more silly and just be like, okay, well, that wasn't pleasant, let's try something else. Like, oh, okay, that was painful, but I'm not making a big deal out of it. I'm like coming with compassion, coming with playfulness, making it less serious. The lovemaking becomes so much more free for both of us, right? And this is a beautiful way how we can drop into our natural state. So I'd love to hear what your what has really landed from the things that I've shared so far. We have about 8 minutes left. So I'd love to hear what are the things, and especially when you share those, it's really beautiful to inspire each other as women. Like, one of the reasons why I love holding group trainings is because we can inspire each other as women. If you want to transform yourself and you try to do that alone, it just doesn't work. Because as soon as we come back in the bedroom, sexual conditioning gets back activated. It's like when we have this group of women and we support each other, and we empower each other, and we build this confidence together, and we actually reflect like, oh, wow, this is coming up for you, that's coming up for me. There's such a support system that we can have as women, really stepping into our empowerment. So love to hear your main takeaways. And if this is something that you're really excited about, that you would love to go deeper into as well, and you really feel like, yeah, I want to awaken this concept. Like, for me, this archetype of the sexual initiatress was so mesmerizing, being someone that was so afraid of my own sexuality, so afraid to get slut shamed, always being the girl that acts really nicely, that just, stays really calm, because I always wanted to be the good girl. I wanted to make sure no one was like talking about me as a slut, or like I was so scared for the slut shaming, and always acting and behaving so nicely, but realizing I locked myself up so much. And when I heard about this archetypes of like, wow, the sexual initiatrix is like, I want to awaken that inside of me. I want to discover, I want to feel free, I want to feel confident. And for me, that has shifted so much. And this is also why I'm initiating other women into this archetype and into lovemaking that really comes from a feminine approach, where we honor our bodies way more than the act of sex itself. Right? When we talk about lovemaking, it's so much more than what we do in the bedroom. It's like it starts with lovemaking with our own body in very subtle ways, in very heartfelt ways, in very feminine ways that don't even carry the energy of sex, because sexual energy has so many different layers, from the wild horniness to the really refined, where it's almost like, wow, I'm so high, I'm in a certain state. And we can tap into all of those. So for those of you that love this, like this depth that can come with lovemaking, it's something that you feel like, wow, I've done so much personal work, I'm interested in it, but I never gave myself the permission to really have a deep dive, then you're super welcome to join Sexual Initiators Training. It's starting next week. It's the 5th round that I'm offering this, and the methodology has proven itself since 2020. And this is really where we dive deeply. We embody this archetype. You get all the tools to feel so confident, comfortable in your body, so you can come from that place of naturalness. And it's actually you taking responsibility for your own sexuality. And then you'll see how it completely shifts with everyone that you meet, whether that's with a partner you've been with for years or someone new that you're starting with. And I see that my beautiful technician is already putting the website in. So for those of you that want to see if that's something for you, you can check out my website. There's a coupon code from Live Tantra. You get 50 euros off when you use that. And it starts on the 4th of May. And it's a live program where you also get pre-recorded videos. So you really go through a rite of passage with a group of women doing that together. And it's not just a training of 8 weeks. It's really, I always say we completely create like a new foundation where we plant a seed. You learn how to water it, and that seed is going to grow into beautiful trees of fruit, and those fruits are going to keep giving you amazing experiences really for the rest of your life. So it's building a new foundation of your sexuality and your intimacy. So for those of you that are curious, feel free to check it out. Also for the men that are in here, I have a beautiful masterclass that's also for men, which is about non-linear lovemaking. So really the foundation of the tantric approach, both from the masculine and feminine perspective, with really practical tools. So on my website, you can find that one as well. And for those of you that are here, I always love hearing afterwards what you got out of it. So if you follow me on Instagram and send me a message, hey, I was with you with Live Tantra, like this is what I changed or shifted. Very often women actually tell me, it's like, I don't know what happened. I didn't actually do anything different in the bedroom, but after your masterclass, we had amazing sex. I don't want to put expectations, but there's a transmission that happens just by talking so openly about sex, by having this like boost coming your way, by the inspiration that it can look in so many ways. So even by you not doing anything differently, just by hearing everything about it, your sexuality can already shift. Like so often women send me a message like, wow, our lovemaking changed. We just had a completely different experience. I don't know why. I didn't do anything different, but there's something magical that happened. And that's the beauty about these containers and when we meet live. So this is what I wanted to share with all of you tonight. I really hope that there's main keys that you can take away, even if there's one thing that you want to do differently. It's like, hey, I'm I want to come with more compassion. I want to be more relaxed. I want to bring more playfulness. I want to take it less serious. I want to focus on shifting the energy in lovemaking. I want to focus on giving more love during lovemaking. Like, even if you take one thing that we spoke about and implement that and practice that and make it your own, this is how lovemaking starts to shift more and more. You show up differently, and by that you inspire your partner to show up differently as well. So that was it from my side. If you are on the replay, also again, I invite you to send a message either on Instagram, Arja Hendrikx. You can follow me there, where I'm also sharing more tips, practices, little tools, little guidelines. So if you like to stay updated and you love the way that I'm teaching, then you're super welcome to follow me there. Or we see each other in the Live Tantra, one of the symposiums.